Now we're going to start our main program, and I believe the first speaker is Lori. So we're going to send it over to Sig. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Lori Woods, serving as mayor this year for the city, and we're so happy that you're here to enjoy this brand new space that has been several decades in coming. The library, if you haven't seen it yet, it'll be open by the time, open now if it's 12 o'clock, by the time the luncheon is over, so please go down, spend a few minutes walking through the great space that's been created for the community. Library services, children's services, a learning lab, a history room, a bank of computers, study rooms, and an outdoor patio downstairs. So go through, when we're finished with the luncheon, walk through that space. Let us know if you have any questions about it. This space is available for rental. The community room downstairs, which also has a kitchen, is available for rental. The downstairs patio is available for rental. So it's not just a library. That's the all-encompassing term for a great, great community space that's been provided for our residents and for our business community. So welcome to one of the very first events hosted on the terrace here. You're my son, he's the oldest, and he's got 3 younger sisters. So he calls himself the Crash Bandicoot kid, meaning that we tried all the parental errors on him, and his sisters benefit from all that. So you're the Crash Bandicoot dinner, luncheon today. So be sure and take advantage of the library while you're here. Go down and get a library card. Check out the spaces. You really enjoy this space. An additional commissioner that was not recognized is a brand new planning commissioner, Perica Bell. It's right over here. So have a Perica. Thank you. And I think that's everyone that's on a city staff or commission that's here today. There's a lot of great, great, exciting things going on here in Signal Hill. It's here. And so there's a city booth table around the corner. Be sure and pick up information. But I wanted to let you know, and there's a couple copies on each table, but we have it comes out 3 times a year, our City Views. This is our fall edition of City Views. And one thing in particular I'd like to point out on page, I can't read my glass, 8. We have a spotlight on Signal Hill small business. It's something that we feature every month at a council meeting. And so we'll choose a business that sometimes, believe it or not, it's very hard. It's difficult to get a small business to participate. But we'll feature a small business. They'll come into city council. There'll be maybe 8 to 10 different slideshow photos that we show. That business can present basically what they do and get a certificate for participating in our small business spotlight. Salim Khoury, right here, Fishalicious, was recently featured in our small business spotlight. So not only is that featured at the council meeting, the council meetings are then broadcast 3 times a day on both cable channels throughout the area, both Charter and Spectrum, but Charter and, help me with the other, Fios? Fios. Anyway, the public channels, that's featured 3 times a day until the following council meeting, so that business would be featured on that. And then they also are featured on the city website as being highlighted and thanked by the city, as well as in the small business spotlight. They're featured in the publication that goes out to all the residents of Signal Hill 3 times a year. So in this publication, we featured Pete's Plumbing, Pet Pantry, The Wine Country, and the Signal Hill Chamber of Commerce. So in our next edition, we'll have the ones that we featured in the last couple of months. So take advantage of that. If you have an active operating business license in the city of Signal Hill, you can come to us and we will feature you at a council meeting, give you that added free exposure, and as a thank you for doing business here in Signal Hill and supporting your business. Just yesterday I attended the LA County Mayor's Conference. It's something that the Mayor of Los Angeles has put together, Eric Garcetti. And so it features, it's only attended by all the 88 cities, mayors of the 88 cities in LA County. One of the featured things yesterday was put on by LAEDC, the Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation or Company. It's a nonprofit organization, and they featured planning for business operations after earthquakes. I've been the champion council member for earthquake preparedness, for disaster preparedness, and really working hard to boost our CERT team, our community emergency response team, over the last 6 years that I've been a council member, focusing on our Map Your Neighborhood, getting it out, the individual homes to be prepared, but I hadn't thought about in great detail business preparation. So I have a limited number of these. I went up to the speaker afterwards and I said, you don't want to carry all those brochures back to your office. I will take as many as you'll give me. So he gave me about 30 or so. And so this is a basic guideline, an outline of how to prepare your business, to get back up and running, not just necessarily the structure if you have a brick and mortar, but also all your data and backing that up to the cloud and things like that. So I've got about 30 copies of these. You're welcome to them, and I'll have them on the table to support your businesses, because while our residents might be up and running, we want to make sure that their employee, that they still have an income, right? So it talks about if you can prepare for, even if your structure or your actual brick and mortar is damaged, that you could set things in place now where your employees could do some telecommuting, work from home. It has a really lot of great benefits, because if in a major disaster, if people can't get to work, if there's no ability for them to continue getting a paycheck, then the entire economy in the area will really, really be challenged. So it has some really great ideas. I encourage you to take that. At this time, I'd like to introduce who's coming up. It's right here, Charlie Honeycutt, our current city manager, Charlie Honeycutt. Charlie has been our city manager for the last 5 years. And prior to that, he was our deputy city manager for about 7 years. And prior to that, he was a public works director, but his career started here in Signal Hill over 30 years ago. All right, over 30 years ago. So we promote, from within Signal Hill. So I'll let Charlie come up, introduce himself and the rest of the department heads and staff, and he'll introduce our new city manager.
Thank you, Lori, and we really appreciate everybody coming out today. You know, the one thing Signal Hill prides itself on is that we're business friendly. What you'll hear in the program today is how dependent we are on the success of our businesses, and we recognize that, and we're here to help you however we can. You know, we like to say that, you know, basically come to Signal Hill, we'll help you get your business open, and then we're going to get out of your way and let you take care of that. And so we work hard to do that. You know, today we're very happy to be able to host this event at this library. This has been a labor of love, and it literally took us 20 years to make this happen through a variety of challenges. And really, the City Council needs to be commended for never giving up hope and to continue to fight to make this facility a reality. So I, as a city manager, as well as a resident of this city, truly appreciate their diligence. So today we're going to give you the highlights of kind of what we're looking to do in the next this next fiscal year. We had a really dazzling presentation to show you today, but as we work out the bugs in the library, we came up and tested our presentation yesterday and realized that it's a bit bright up here, and our PowerPoint presentation wasn't going to really be too visible to all of you. So we don't have that for you. We apologize, but I think you'll appreciate what our department heads will present today. So we're going to start by, I'm going to introduce Hannah Shen-Haydorn. She's currently our Deputy City Manager. I am preparing to step down at the end of October, and we're very pleased to have had the council appoint Hannah as your new City Manager, and she'll take over the beginning of November. So, Hannah?
Thank you. And before I get started, I just want to recognize Councilmember Ed Wilson, who just joined us. So thank you to the Chamber for hosting this very important event. And as Charlie stated, we pride ourselves on being business friendly here at Signal Hill. And for us, that means having a business licensing system that's straightforward and easy to comply with, a public infrastructure that you can rely on, a customer service-oriented planning and permitting process, a community where employees and business owners want to live and play after they finish working, and a police department that's responsible, attentive, and accessible. So to that end, the managers and directors are here today, and they can speak about their ongoing accomplishments, their current projects, the challenges that we're facing in planning for just like you. But given the parameters of our time today and the fact that we have about 20 minutes left, and we can't keep you here much beyond that, we're going to hit the highlights of those topics that we thought would be of most interest to you. So again, I want to thank the Chamber for this opportunity. It's nice to be able to connect once a year, but we also invite you to stay connected throughout the year. We have a number of resources available that we encourage you to take advantage of. And I don't know if Christina's here, Christina Bond. Oh, so Christina is our communications specialist, and she oversees all of these resources I'm about to mention, and she does a great job at it. So we have a city newsletter that gets mailed out 3 times a year, and that gets mailed to all the addresses in the city, residential and commercial. We also invite you to come check out our city website. So we provide a lot of resources there, as well as our city events, our calendar, and our news stories. And from our city website, you can also log on to receive our monthly email newsletters. So those are delivered straight to your email inbox. And finally, you can join us on Facebook at the official @City of Signal Hill. So now it's time for me to stop talking and invite the subject matter experts up to share information on their specific departments. But in closing, I did want to say, for those of you who have joined us over the years, and this is not your first Meet the City event, thanks for coming back, and it's nice to see you again. For those of you who this is your first event, welcome, and it's a pleasure to meet you. We look forward to working with you and supporting you as your businesses continue to grow, prosper, and thrive in Signal Hill. And with that, I'll invite Elise McCaleb, our Economic Development Manager, up.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm the Economic Development Manager here, and my job here at the city is to attract businesses, retain them, and help the city increase its sales tax revenue here at the city. The population of Signal Hill is almost 11,800. We have about 50 developable late acres left that I'm working hard at to try to develop. We're 2.2 square miles, and we have about 1,100 active business licenses. The major industries in the city include oil drilling. We have the Office Depot Western U.S. Regional Headquarters and Distribution Center. Our major employers are Costco, Home Depot, Office Depot, the Signal Hill Auto Center, and Signal Hill Petroleum. Our public safety is served by our very own Signal Hill Police Department and Los Angeles County Fire. Our utilities are, we have our own water department, and electricity, we're served by Southern California Edison and Long Beach Gas. In the administration department where I work, it covers the Office of the City Council and City Clerk, Personnel, Communications, and Economic Development. The Office of City Council and Deputy City Clerk recommend policy to the legislative body and are responsible for managing the day-to-day affairs of the City Council. The Deputy City Clerk is responsible for elections and keeping track of the city's records. Communications, we already touched on. Personnel, we have about 100 full-time employees and 60 part-time employees depending upon the season. Personnel is responsible for hiring the city, setting policies regarding personnel, and the other, as the Economic Development Manager, as I stated, my job responsibilities are to increase the sales tax generated by the city. I try to encourage businesses to locate here. I'm assisting with the expansion of the Signal Hill Auto Center. We have a couple new dealerships that we're anticipating to come online in the next year. And I also serve as the ombudsman. I help developers through their site plan and design review process. If you're interested in doing business with the City of Signal Hill, we do post RFPs and RFBs on the city's website, as well as on planetbids.com and in the Tribune newspaper. The city, when we go out for bids higher than $15,000, we're required to do a formal competitive RFP process. And you can sign up on our website if you'd like to be notified when we have a RFP. That ends my talk here. I'm going to welcome up the Finance Director, Scott Williams.
Good afternoon. Scott Williams, Director of Finance, and I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes with an overview of the city's budget as well as what we specifically do in the finance department. So it goes without saying when you think of the city budget that the bottom line is a balanced budget. And this means by way of city policy, ongoing continuous revenues or available resources match off against ongoing continuous expenditures. And this is, as we'll see, what really creates the context of a business community. This includes this year a nearly $7 million investment in infrastructure improvements and replacement. But as we put the budget together each year, it all begins with revenue. This is where it all pivots from. And the city's general fund, this is our primary operating fund that pays for things, as we mentioned, like safety, infrastructure, sidewalks, the quality of street trees, things of that nature. Our general fund revenues come from a variety of sources: taxes, fees, franchise revenue. But it is noteworthy that the city does not assess a utility user tax, or UUT. And this is, if you're not familiar with it, it's a usage tax on communications, electric, gas charges. In other words, things that we use day to day for ongoing conducting of business. It's also noteworthy that nearly 70% of general fund revenues are derived from sales tax. And all of this retail activity demonstrates that Signal Hill does in fact mean business. By way of expenditure summary, what we do with these available resources, the general fund revenues translate into everything that makes this a great place to conduct business. Nearly 65% of the general fund revenues and resources are dedicated to public safety and infrastructure, which we'll hear about in just a couple of minutes. And this, again, just creates the excellent context as well as environment for conducting business and planting a business. In terms of economic outlook, our outlook is, in the near term, is a stable economic base. And by way of trend, we're seeing what a lot of others are seeing in terms of retail, increased consumer spending on entertainment and experiences, and some upcoming opportunities, as Elise just mentioned, concepts of auto dealership, as well as the pursuit of hoteliers and retail development. We in finance, we're made up of myself, director, accounting manager, journey level accountant, as well as several support staff. And our functions, we exist, we are back office and support in terms of our operations. We support all of the operational departments to keep them doing what they do best for the city. Some of our activities include the forward-looking activity, what we call financial planning and analysis. There is the financial reporting and audit. That's what we do at this time each year. And just like yourselves with the business, each year you have a final assessment of your books, and that's what we do. And it's verified by outside auditors to see how the city fared, in fact, relative to the financial plan. Our financial operations, this is our internal services, as I mentioned, our accounts payable, payroll, all of those types of things. And we're also responsible for information technology. This is our citywide enterprise system, as well as the data sharing that goes on among departments. And finally, risk management. This is our role in safeguarding city assets, and that's partly done through the mitigation of risk. Now, in addition to responsible financial management, we also assist with fostering a business-friendly environment, and this includes low business license fees, as we mentioned, no UUT, as well as a streamlined business license process to get businesses up and running sooner, as well as a very fast turnaround. If you do business with the city, we very quickly get those remittances out. So at this time, I'm going to hand it off to our Community Development Director, Scott.
Good afternoon. Before I get started, I'd like to recognize that another council member, Tina Hansen, has joined us. So I represent community development. You probably recognize us as the planning and building departments, and know that we deal with new development. We're the smallest department in City Hall. We have 3 professional planners and 1 part-time contract inspector. We have 4 divisions, starting with planning, which focuses on land use and design review. We serve as the staff for the Planning Commission, and we also review business licenses to ensure that new businesses are located in the proper zones and have the required parking. The Building Division coordinates both plan check, issues permits, and then also does inspections, and their focus is to ensure that minimum health and safety standards are achieved. One thing that does make Signal Hill different, and you've heard a little bit about so far, is our oil history, and that means that we have a relatively large inventory of vacant properties compared to surrounding cities. And that necessitates a need for our 3rd division, Oilfield Services. And this division has oversight of the 421 wells in the city that are either currently active or idle. And we also enforce both setback requirements and abandonment standards for new development on those properties. The final division is neighborhood enhancement. You know that is typically code enforcement, but we also provide staff for the city's Sustainable City Committee. That's a group that is comprised of council members, has representation from all 3 commission, and also has 4 community members. And they track the green efforts of the city, and I'm happy to report that last year, since the last time we were here, the city received 2 Beacon Sustainability Awards, 1 for energy savings and 1 for best practices. Just a quick summary of development that was completed since we last spoke. The mini dealership that was at the corner of Cherry and Spring Street relocated to the new BMW dealership down the street. Echo Park is going to replace the old mini dealership, and they are a business that focuses on sales of used cars that are 1 to 4 years old, and this represents their first business in California. There's also tenant improvements at a couple sites, one just down the street here at AUHS. They're completing improvements for our pharmacy school, and then we also have a medical office building being converted at the corner of California and Willow. On the residential side, we completed the Crescent Square development, which is just up the street on Walnut, and then we approved 14 new single-family homes on East 23rd Street. I'll end with just some projects that are in the pipeline. These are ones that haven't been approved, but you can look potentially forward to. Target's indicated they want to do a significant renovation in the north end and also build out some additional retail pads. There are 2 industrial projects, one at the corner of Walnut and south of Hill Street, just down the street here, and then one at the former driving range. You may have seen activity there, and that is work required as a prerequisite to development because there are a host of previously abandoned wells at that site. And lastly, expansion of the auto center at Cherry Avenue. With that, I'll turn it over to our Public Works Director, Kelly Tunnicliffe.
Better? Oh, better? Better. Does it have to be right there, though? Okay. Hi, I'm Kelly Tunnicliffe. See, I'm the Director of Public Works. How many in this room know what Public Works does? And how many that had their hands up were here last year? Is there anybody that wasn't here last year that had their hand up? You get a prize. Okay, so what does Public Works do? We are responsible for maintaining and operating the public infrastructure within the city. That includes things like streets, sidewalks, roadways, building facilities, parks, sewer, storm drain, our water system, graffiti removal, traffic signs, signals, anything basically that within public land. We coordinate with a lot of other agencies, including Long Beach Transit, LA County Flood Control, LA County Sanitation District, Caltrans, City of Long Beach, Edison, and a lot of oil franchisees and cable utilities and telecom companies. We pursue a lot of opportunities with funding agencies to make sure that we have the best available resources to handle this program. We manage and design construction of our city's, this year, $8 million capital improvement program, and that is to maintain our infrastructure like our library that we're sitting in, our parks, our streets, etc. We represent our community from a legislative perspective as well on all of these issues, and we coordinate with development services. Our motto is always, if you don't know what we do, then we're doing a really good job. We have a staff of about 5 people in our engineering department. We have 9 people in our water operations, and we have 13 maintenance operation personnel. Recent successes include the building that you're sitting in today. We opened this on August 10th, and we encourage everyone to go downstairs, maybe get a library card, visit our prideful building that we have here. We also just recently completed the Los Cerritos Channel stormwater capture facility, and this is the largest stormwater capture facility that was built to date. It is 31 acre feet, and for those of you who don't know what an acre foot is, it's basically 31 football fields, a foot high, filled with water. So all that stuff that you guys see coming down the channel with the trash, it gets collected. We take out some of the contaminants before it hits our beaches and our bays. So we should be really proud that we were able to complete that. What's on the horizon? We're getting back to the basics, and we're looking at doing things like slurring streets, sidewalks. We're hopefully going to start construction on View Park. I think those of you who have been there, I've told you that for the last couple of years. We had some difficulty in that we have a lot of oil pipelines within the city of Signal Hill, and we were having challenges trying to get the recycled water line from Redondo up to View Park. So we found a really creative solution, and we're still working through that, but it looks like we might actually be able to utilize an existing abandoned pipe, hopefully even saving us some funding on that. So we're looking forward to that, and if you're within Signal Hill, you will know it because our streets look much different than Long Beach, and we're very proud of that.
So I always kind of feel like the lucky one when I come up here because all my colleagues have to come up and explain what they do and raise hands and whatnot, and I get to walk up in full uniform and say, "We're the police." So my name's Chris Nunley. I'm your police chief. We're just going to take a brief moment and take a dive into your police department. So we are a full-service police department. We're open 24/7 to serve you. We have a full-time 911 dispatch center. We're located just up the street at the corner of 27th Street and Walnut at 2745 Walnut Avenue. And up until August, we were the nicest building in the city, and now we're not. So we have about 55 employees. We're broken up into 2 major divisions, the operations division and the administrative division, and those are each commanded by a lieutenant. The operations division is your more visible division. It's our uniform patrol division and our traffic division. And then the administrative division is more of the behind-the-scenes group, and that's our detective bureau and our support services bureau, which is hiring, recruitment, and training. Of interest to all of you, the police department has always striven to stretch your tax dollars as much as we can in order to provide really good quality service to you. Typically, that's done through grants. And just this last year, we've received over $300,000 in grant funding. Now, those grants are used for everything from DUI enforcement to special enforcement operations to equipping your officers with ballistic protection. And that we're able to do that is really a testament to our partnerships with our regional, state, and federal partners. We have a robust community outreach program. That is made possible by our Police Foundation. Now, our Police Foundation is a nonprofit group that provides monetary support to the police department so that we can go out and do the events that we have that I'll talk to you about in a minute. Now, if you are interested in sponsorship opportunities for our police foundation, we have a golf tournament coming up on the 21st of October. Now, the tournament itself is pretty much sold out, but we do have a lot of whole sponsorship opportunity. So if you're interested in that, you can see Terry Rogers, or you can go to our website at shpolicefoundation.org. Now, with that partnership, we're able to do a number of different outreach events, as I alluded to, and I'll talk about a few of them. One of them is Tip a Cop, and that's a partnership with the Police Department and Special Olympics Long Beach, where we act as servers in a local restaurant, and the tips go back to Special Olympics, which is a really fun event. We have our Holiday Outreach event, which is in partnership with the Community Services Department, and we are able to help low-income families that are going to have challenges over the holidays to have a really good holiday, and we do that through donations and also through a toy drive and what have you, so it's a really special event. We have my favorite, which is National Night Out, which is usually every August. We have it in Signal Hill Park, and it's basically a big carnival environment where the police department gets together with their community, and we kind of see each other in a different light. We're not there in an enforcement setting. We're just getting together with our community, and it's a great event. We have our Too Good for Drugs program, which is in the schools, and we have a new program that we're rolling out called Why'd You Stop Me, which is a teen outreach program that's really aimed at bridging the gap between the teen groups and the policing. We do a lot of homeless outreach here in Signal Hill. We recognize at the Signal Hill Police Department that not only just here in Signal Hill, but regionally and statewide, we're in the midst of a homeless crisis. And we're able to do a lot of outreach that way through a generous grant given by the County Board of Supervisors to all the law enforcement agencies in LA County that allow us to go out in the field and do that outreach. And Signal Hill has received over 120 hours of that grant to go out and make those contacts. We have a mental health evaluation team, which is a police officer that's specially trained that rides with a clinician from Department of Mental Health. That helps us with our homeless outreach, but it also helps us respond to calls for service that involve people in mental health crisis. The City Council just graciously approved a full-time homeless liaison officer position, which we will be deploying about mid-October. And that'll be a full-time police officer out in the street dedicated to doing nothing but outreach to the homeless. When we talk about homeless outreach, yes, I want to be clear when we do talk about homeless outreach, is just that, it's outreach. We're trying to outreach to the homeless community and provide them with, hopefully, full-time assisted housing. We utilize law enforcement options as an absolute last resort. And so that's kind of what I wanted to highlight while I'm here. So as my time's running out, I really want to thank you for having the opportunity to speak to you, but also remind you that we're here to serve you. You either live here or you work here or both. And you all know whether something's out of place or not. And so if something doesn't look right, it's probably not. So always feel free to call your police department. If it doesn't look right, give us a call. We'll come out and investigate it. You're never bothering us. It's what we do. We've sworn to serve you. So give us a call. You're our eyes and ears when we're not there. So always, always, always give us a call. It's not a bother. So thank you again. And from the local police to the fun police, I'd like to introduce my friend and colleague, Ali Mancini from the Community Services Department to explain all the great things that they're doing.
Okay, thank you, Chief Nunley, and I know that I'm the last thing up on the agenda, so I'm not going to take too much of your time, but I did want to kind of share with you some of the things that we do in the community. Luckily, I know many of you because you've been tremendous supporters of all of the wonderful things we do in the department. But for those of you that may not know us, let me give you a brief introduction. Our department has 3 divisions. Recreation, which is essentially our youth and teen programs, our after-school programs, youth sports, things of that nature. We also have our Community Services Division, and this is our division that serves the active older adults, but also patrols the parks and handles facility and park rentals, our transportation programs, animal control, and a few other social programs like our brown bag program. And then finally, I have the true privilege of overseeing the city library. And this is a full-service facility here that you're in, and I really do invite you to come down and take a quick tour after the luncheon today to see just all of the tremendous things that this facility has to offer you. We have a good-sized staff. We have 8 full-time employees, and we have about 40 part-time employees that serve you throughout the year. We also have a fantastic group of volunteers, many of who are sitting here today, and interns that help us pull off all of our amazing events that we do throughout the year. One of the things that's, I believe, of particular interest to the Chamber members is that we also work with the Signal Hill Community Foundation. And this is a nonprofit organization that helps raise funds to provide some of these programs that the Chief was talking about earlier, our holiday outreach program, but also some of our major events like our concerts in the park, our movies in the park, our community yard sale. And we really invite Chamber members to get involved with the Community Foundation through sponsorship, either financial contributions, or come out to our events. Come out to our events and volunteer your time. It's a great way for you to get to know the community that you're serving, folks that you're already serving, but also introducing yourself to others. I can tell you that community members really like to put a face and a person to a business. It helps them feel like that business really is dedicated to serving this community and making it better. You're not just coming in and making a living, but you also want to give back. So I invite all of you to come out. We've got a lot of great events. There is a brochure in front of you on the table that gives some more information about how to become a sponsor. We've got several ways that you can do that. We've got a library capital campaign where you can have your name placed down on the legacy tile in the building. We've got bricks up on the hill. We've got all sorts of ways for you guys to get involved. But again, most importantly, come out to our events, come and tour some of our programs, and get to see some of the amazing community members that you serve. And just in closing, just wanted to again invite you to come and tour the library. If you're not able to do that today, please give us a call. We would love to give you a tour and show you we've got great spaces that we would love for you to come and use, either for staff trainings or webinars or meetings or even holiday events. This is your building. This building belongs to this community, and we'd love to invite you to come out and have an event here. Thank you so much. And I will turn it over to Adelita. Thanks for having us today.
I will try to speak into the microphone. Let's have a round of applause, please, for our speakers. City of Signal Hill, we have fabulous leadership, and they take time out for their day to meet with us to go over the plans for the years. It's absolutely wonderful.